It'd be nice if we could do the derivative packet also. However, that might not necessarily be what we need to do. Cosette, go ahead. Oh, not quite yet. Hold on, kiddo. We're going to go over questions. But thanks for being ready. Let's keep on passing the summer or the spring break forever quoting sheets out. Please, please, please. I do have the limits continuity packet, but first of all, let's go ahead and recap. Maggie and Ariane are gone. Yeah, this is a lot longer than normal.
I want to write if these ones are the sheet, but I don't know if I can do that in time because there's like 50.
Okay, I'll go ahead and just say that they need to watch the recording. So then, for what you guys see underneath your AP exam prep, that's the folder that we're in right now. What do you need to do as far as quoting / writing / whatever you choose to do over spring break? How many times?
15.
15 is with bonus, 10 is for 100%. Each check mark certifies or, attests that you've done what? That you quoted from Forever Card 1 to Forever Card number, where did we end? 45? 47? 47? You read through all the Forever Cards, the entirety of the Forever Cards, minimum of 10 minutes, and even that is a very low approximation as to how much time it should take you, in the sense of completely carefully thinking and reading through every single card. But you can also, I said, substitute by doing a full handwritten copy from beginning to end of the Forevers, and it counts as 2 times quoting. But a check mark shows quoting, yeah? Whereas the handwriting shouldn't be shown with a check, it should be stapled, and then I count it as 2. And this bottom is an integrity statement. What day is this one due? Monday. So if you want to put a quick note on it, that'd be a great idea, that it's due Monday, April 9th. 9th? 14th. Yeah. Monday, April 9th. Okay, what else is going on Monday, April 9th? Okay, so you might want to note not only, sorry, I got distracted. Not only is the Forever Quoting Sheet due on Monday, but also the Forever Quiz is on Monday. But what else is due on Monday?
Oh, derivative packet?
Yes, the Laying the Foundation Review, the derivative packet. Was anyone absent yesterday? So everybody has a derivative packet. Most of you guys were able to start it. And so that's due on Monday. However, what part of that packet is due on Monday? The odds, fully attempted and graded. So as you guys noticed, I think I did it yesterday for you, just in case you were able to get that far. The derivatives review is up as well with the answer key at the end. Okay, so due on Monday, once again, you're quoting, the Forever Quiz, and then the derivatives packet. Now, what's the other spring break homework? The derivatives packet is kind of like tonight's homework, what was last night's homework? The 2003. Underneath the practice exams, right? You have the 2003 full College Board length exam. We talked about yesterday my advice as far as following the timing, so you're not taking forever and ever, and that's okay. As far as do your best, try to get all the way through it in the time allotted. But what's new today is I have gone ahead, check it. Under solutions, I have put for your grading the free response solutions and the multiple choice solutions. That way, when you come back on Monday, if there's extra time after we do the Forever Quiz, collect what we need to as far as the quoting and the spot check, and we go over questions on your derivatives packet. If there's time, we'll start going over questions Monday on the practice exam. Tuesday, we'll finish going over questions, which is why the practice exam is not due until Tuesday by the end of the day. Tuesday by the end of the day. I think it was BC that I said something other than that, but for AB, do Tuesday at the end of the day. There was one other handout that I gave you yesterday, just quick reminder that you have it. Which one was it? The When You See You Think, but that one will not be due. I don't remember if I officially announced it until Friday, the day before the mock AP. And remember, if for any reason, talk to your parents over break. Don't surprise them later if you haven't warned them about it. It's been up on the board for a while. It's been in your spring or your syllabus since the beginning of class. Make sure they know about Saturday, April 14th, and if you cannot make it, plan ahead Monday, April 16th from 3 o'clock till 7:15. Well, yeah, 8 to noon, so 3 to 7. So then with that, you guys have the full calendar breakdown. We need to go ahead and get back to are laying the foundation questions that we have. But first of all, as I'm doing that, Ashley, was it you that had a question?
No.
Someone said my name. No? I'm making up things. Never mind. All right. Limits and continuity. I need to do a spot check after we go over the questions. And then once the spot check is done, my chem people, you can go make ice cream. Anyway. Okay. So what do we got? Yeah, Callie. Okay, FRQs. We'll get to the FRQs in a second. Let's wait and do multiple choice first. So then, Cosette, what do we got? 11. Okay, what else? Hannah.
1 on page 8. Oh, and 5.
Oh, it's number 1.
Yeah, 5.
Okay, 1, 5, 11. Anything else? Ryle.
The FRQ.
Okay, FRQs we'll do in a second.
Okay.
Abby.
9 on page 10.
9. And then Jesse. 13. Kind of like all the odds. Okay, starting with number 1. Kiddos, in our packet, if you read, this is exactly like, this is exactly like the box that's right towards the beginning. Actually, it's the very first example in this packet. This is the definition of the derivative. It's exactly like the back of our AP Calculus sweatshirt. Someone who knew how to do number 1, go ahead and tell me, when you look at this limit definition of the derivative, what can you do instead of actually solving that limit the long way on the back of your sweatshirt? Raya.
I just looked at the function and then derived it.
Because this equals f prime of x, 4, just go ahead and check it and say, hey, according to the definition, sine of x is in the f of x spot, so therefore, that's going to go ahead and become, what's the derivative of sine, everybody? Cosine. It's technically an even, so I don't really go over evens in class. You can ask me that later, but in this one, just because it is weird and a lot of people have looked at it, this cosine is in the x spot, is in the f of x spot. The weird thing is x has been plugged in for, so instead of being f prime of x, this is f prime of pi over 3 when f of x is cosine. So then, derive, plug in pi over 3.
Oh, okay.
Okay, next one, I don't think anyone asked for 3. I did hear, I think, number 5, though.
Yeah.
Number 5, he's a piecewise function. Is there an above and below?
Yes.
Is there a separate above from a separate below? Is there a greater than, less than? No, there's a not equal to. So if I'm looking for numbers above -1, I'm looking at this piece. If I'm looking for numbers below -1, I'm looking at this piece. If it's a limit, am I caring about what's at -1 at all? No. So therefore, in order to solve this one, go ahead and take this function, plug it in f of x, take the limit of him, and you have it. Okay. Does anybody have a question on number 7? Okay. Number 9. He was one that we talked about yesterday, kind of at length, because I was talking about vertical asymptotes. Wait, what? Why am I saying vertical asymptote for number 9? How do you know? There's a 0 at 3 and it doesn't cancel. It's not a whole. Another way of looking at it is if you go to plug in 3, I get 5 over 0. So 5 over 0 points me to plus or minus infinity, check the sign, right? How would we check the sign? What direction is he coming from? So if I thought about 5 over 3, a little bit more minus 3, well, kiddos, isn't that a positive over a 3.1, 3.01, 3.001? That's a positive. Done. Oh, I plugged it in the wrong place. Where was the 3 little bit above supposed to go? Thank you. I didn't look back. I just tried to remember it, which would end up being a negative, which points me to negative infinity.
Wow.
Thank you. Okay. Remind me, anybody have a question on number 11?
Oh, that was me.
Okay.
Why is it continuous at... What is it? What? Oh, it's not continuous at 2.
Which is why number 1 is false. Because the question says true.
Then why is it... Why? Oh, never mind. I don't know how to ask this question. Never mind.
But you get that 1 is wrong.
Yeah.
Number 2, vertical asymptote at x plus 3, there's no matching. So it's not a whole, so it has to be a vertical asymptote. And then the horizontal asymptote, the limit as you go to infinity of an x squared over an x squared, which is 1, not 0. So 2 should have been the only right answer.
Okay.
Number 13, anyone have an answer? Or a question? No? 15? Okay. So now we're down to free response. Help me out, kiddos. You only had one free response, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just free response number 1. And this was the same question I think that period 1 asked. So I think this was their only question. Free response number 1. Help me out just in general. Piecewise functions. If you have to make them continuous, you have to make sure that limit from below equals limit from above equals. There's no limit at. So limit from below equals limit from above equals the function point at that x value, or the function value at that x value. But this one's kind of interesting, not interesting, but I guess it's actually kind of more like boring, because the limit as x comes towards 2 from below, isn't that the exact same thing as h of 2? Because it says less than or equal to. So really we're plugging into the same piece for both of those and setting those equal to the limit as x goes to 2 from above. This would be using the definition of the derivative. That's like a justification. So these two are the exact same piece. We would just go ahead and plug in. They gave us some a's and b's to play with, so we would plug those in as well. B was -4. Long story short, we end up with the statement 4 equals 4. So yes, the function is continuous. But that's only one example of an A and a B. Letter B says, no, 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 no. I want to know every possible combination, which means we somehow need to relate A and B. Sorry, quick question on A? Okay. So then for letter B, as we plug in 2 from below and above, we end up with the same 2 minus 1 plus 3. But now we are keeping our A times 2 squared, keeping our B times 2. And then probably a lot of you would have gotten A by itself or B by itself. They wanted just basically a formula that relates the two. And I think we end up with A equals, that's going to be 4, 2 minus B all over 2 if you simplify. Or you could have done 1 minus 1 half B.
I got plus B over 2.
Ah, thank you, thank you. I was trying to remember from this morning and not doing the math. Trying to go fast. So 2 plus B over 2 or 1 plus 1 half B. Either one would work. To be honest, I think you could have almost just boxed that because it didn't say necessarily that A had to be solved for, B had to be solved for. But the dilemma is, kiddos, if this is all I've got, do I know A or B? Let's have a relationship.
How does that explain all the values? Like just an equation, how does that explain which values?
It shows the relationship between A and B. So A can be any number, but once A is established, B can only be certain numbers to match. So if A is 1, solve for B. If A is 4, solve for B. If A is 3, solve for B. Okay, for letter C. Differentiable is added. So we have the formula right up from above. A is equal to 2 plus B all over 2. A is equal to 2 plus B all over 2. That's just from continuous. Differentiable, guys, what's that word literally mean? Able to be differentiated, so able to be derived. So we look at h prime of x. And if you guys took the derivative piece by piece, we'd end up with the absolute value of u all over u times u prime. Make sure I have that right, but I'm pretty sure I'm good. And then this one would be 2ax minus bx? Sorry,
yeah,
minus b?
Minus B.
Why didn't I put an or equal to? And why shouldn't I? And if you did, you would have lost a point on the FRQ.
Because you're approaching the limit from both sides.
You're approaching 2 from both sides, and in order for a derivative to exist, a derivative really is a limit. In order for a limit to exist, yeah. So the derivative, which is a limit, can't exist at 2 unless these two agree. Does that make sense? And there's no guarantees they agree unless we make it so. And so we'll make it so, just like we did with the continuous piecewise, or trying to make the original continuous. We're going to do the same thing with its derivative and say, hey, we need you guys to match. So plugging them in to make them match. We end up with 4a minus b. After we solve, we can end up with 1 equals 4. Don't we have a little baby equation that we can just plug and chug? Substitution is just solving a little baby system. So if we substitute, then we can go ahead and do some reducing. Pretty soon we'd have 4 plus 2b minus b, so 4 plus b. B, I believe, equals -3. Anybody tracking on that?
Yeah.
Can't we just come back and say, oh, hey. Then a is equal to 2 minus 3, -1, -1. So continuous. Make the one-sided limits agree and equal the function value. Differentiable, make the one-sided limits of the, who's this guy? Derivative agree. And then they both had to be true. Quick question, if the beginning piecewise function was found to not be continuous, if the beginning piecewise function was found to not be continuous, would it have mattered even if I had made this match? Because if it's not continuous, it can't be differentiable even if we make the one-sided limits agree. Tracking? Cool. Kiddos, I think that's the end because, oh, never mind. Go ahead. Sadly, I had to erase the up when I went down because it's on a file, or it's on the web browser. Sorry, kid. You can probably grab it from someone right around you. All right. Limits and continuity. That one's done. I want you guys to go ahead and make sure your name is on it and then just pass it to the front of your row. I'm not going to take it and keep it. I just need to come by and spot check them all. While I spot check them all, you guys once again are still benefiting from the seniors being gone for their assembly from period 1 that one day. Because how many of you guys have already worked on at least the odds of the derivatives? Oh, never mind. Not as many as I thought. Okay, so take advantage of today. Why? Why is today important to get as much work done on the derivative packet as possible? It's technically just what's homework? Tonight. I have spring break homework for you that's important. So I want you guys to be productive with your time today. No one should be doing test corrections today. No one should be needing to go back and do makeup anything. Work on that derivative packet. Use me after I finish spot checking. Use each other in order to try to bust through. Wait a minute, what's due? Just the odds, right? Okay, to work through the odds. On the FRQs, you guys might have more on this one, if I remember right. Please look at the boxes at the beginning, because this packet is going to use IVT, EVT,